Good morning, sir. This is my descriptive video for lesson plan 1. To begin with, I'll enter the class, I'll greet the students, and we'll proceed on our motivational activity, which is quiz questions. I'll ask the students some of the questions to test their prior knowledge on knowing this lesson content. The questions are, what are the 3 domains called in taxonomy? Define taxonomy, and why do we need to classify organisms? What are the different kingdoms in taxonomy? And what is another name for describing taxonomy? Okay, those are the quiz questions. They will be asked on motivational activity. Moving on, the introduction. I'll introduce the topic to the students, which is taxonomy, and I'll explain them on the learning objectives. There are 3 learning objectives. The first learning objective is understand taxonomy systems, its classification, and be able to identify the kingdoms. The second one is draw the classification of the kingdoms, the domains, and the hierarchy. The third one is appreciate how organisms, including humans, have been characterized, classified according to our physical characteristics, and how they were grouped. Okay, those are the learning objectives that students have to be achieved. They have to achieve those learning objectives at the end of the class. Okay, moving on to the notes. I'll be explaining the notes thoroughly to the students. I'll give out the photocopied lesson notes handout to individual students so that they can cope up with me during my teaching. And I'll be explaining them what the notes is all about, the points that are written on the lesson notes. The lesson notes will be on Microsoft Word, and after explanation of the notes, I'll ask them some questions related to the topic that has been the topic that has been taught to them, and I'll be putting up the charts. Okay, the chart which has the taxonomic rank of organisms in 3 domains and the 6 kingdom system of the taxonomy. This is one of my teaching aids, the chart that I'll be explaining to the students what are some things that has been written on the chart. And after explanation of the chart, I'll ask the students some of the questions related to the lesson taken. Okay, the questions are, which types of organisms falls in the domain Archaea? That's the first question. The second question is, what is the difference between eubacteria and Archaea bacteria? And the third question is, who was the first person to develop taxonomic system? The fourth question is, which 3 main characteristics of the organisms are used when classifying organisms? And the last question is, which 2 kingdoms make up the prokaryotic cells? Those are some of the questions that will be asked to the students to test the knowledge on how to understand this particular lesson. And I will be putting up diagrams on showing them diagrams or pictures on charts, and I will be showing them educational videos based on this topic so that they can understand the concept of this lesson, so that they can know how to classify organisms on the different kingdoms and on different domains, on their level of classification from largest to smallest, and for them to know some of the definitions of some of the scientific words that are used, biological words that are used in this lesson. That's all for my descriptive video. Vinaka.